So I'm going to jump right into it. So in terms of what meaning and purpose is, I mean, a definition I really like is by a psychologist by the name of Michael Steger. So Steger kind of, when he talks about meaning, he kind of says it's got kind of two main elements or two main components. So the first of these is comprehension, and then we've got purpose. So comprehension is about that in order to have meaning in our lives, we have to understand ourselves and understand our place in the world. And then based on that understanding of ourselves and the place in the world, we can then figure out a purpose. Or I suppose another way of thinking about a purpose is kind of goals. So just to talk a little bit about purpose first. So I suppose the psychological textbook definition is that purpose is the motivational component of meaning. So it refers to an individual's long-term or overarching goals to which they're highly committed and actively engaged. So our purpose has kind of got two main elements. It's kind of got that, like I suppose, that overall mission or plan or goal, and it's also, there's a motivational element to it. So just to talk a little bit more about purpose and goals, maybe the difference in them a little bit. First off, our purpose is kind of broader than our goals. In fact, it helps inform them and helps define them. So for example, I suppose my little spiel there about my business, the purpose of my business is to help people better understand themselves, their aims, and the barriers to things that are getting in the way. And so from that kind of broad purpose, then I will kind of create, I suppose, more specific goals. So for example, this talk is, aimed to help people better understand themselves. I'll create workshops or I'll create coaching programs. So I suppose our broader purpose informs our goals. A second very important point about goals and purpose is that not all goals stem from our purpose. And so often our goals can stem from what's called extrinsic motivation, which is also known as, I suppose, external motivation or motivation that comes from outside us. So this is often very much associated with reward and punishment. We tend to do things to gain reward or avoid punishment. So for example, if you want to think of a student, let's call him Timmy, and Timmy is studying in school. And the reason he's studying hard is that he wants to gain the praise of his teachers, again, the praise of his parents, or maybe he's studying hard in order to avoid detention or avoid doing badly in school. So these are kind of external sources of motivation. The opposite of this, in a lot of ways, is what's called intrinsic motivation. And intrinsic motivation is motivation that comes from inside us. And intrinsic motivation is important because really when a goal, for a goal to be meaningful, it should represent the self. And this is why understanding ourselves, I suppose, is so important. So I suppose intrinsic motivation, it's kind of like that natural inclination we have towards curiosity and exploration, towards mastery or getting better with things, and like spontaneous interest. So kids have this in spades. If you ever see how a kid interacts with the world, naturally so curious, they are always trying to get better at things, they're always trying to master things, and they're always spontaneously interested. They're interested in things just for the sake of being interested in them. So intrinsic motivation is there to kind of serve kind of three key needs that we have. It's the need of autonomy, the need of competence, and the need of relatedness. So for example, if we want to go back to our example of Timmy is studying, and maybe Timmy is studying because rather than it being for praise or external motivation, maybe Timmy is studying because he wants to become a doctor. And so maybe he wants to become a doctor because, being a doctor is a good job and it would allow him financial independence from his parents. So it helps him become more autonomous, or it serves that kind of need of autonomy. Or maybe he's studying hard because he wants to become a doctor because he wants to become a great doctor, because he wants to be competent, he wants to get good at something. Or maybe Timmy is studying to be a doctor because what he really wants to do is help people. So what's important to Timmy is relatedness and connection. And so that's kind of the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. One is internal and one is external.